My name is Hannah. Welcome to another weekly reports from Maplewood Student Reports.
And my name is Jared. It is the week of September 23rd, 2013. This week marks the official start of the fall season. The leaves will be changing on the trees and all the color will be a sight to see.
Here's the news and happenings around our school for this week and beyond.
Coming up this Friday, September 27th, we will have a family movie night here at Maplewood. It will be at 6 p.m. in the gym. Come and be with us to see Super Buddies.
There will be concessions available for purchase such as hot dogs, cotton candy, popcorn, and nachos. Students can receive one free cotton candy by bringing the flyer sent home, back with 10 box tops attached. The box top sheet is on the back of the flyer your teacher sent home with you. Make sure your whole family comes to Family Movie Night, sponsored by the PTO.
Paw Power is a behavior standard that all students strive to follow out school every day. It stands for P, practice respect, A, act responsibly, and W, wise choices.
Students that follow Paw Power act and behave in a manner that displays respect, good responsibility, and make wise choices.
Each week here at our school, Ms. Casaro, our principal, tries to watch and highlight classrooms that are displaying Paw Power in our school.
As Mrs. Casaro observes each classroom during the week, she chooses 4 that are displaying Paw Power in more areas than others.
These 4 classrooms are awarded with a popcorn party on Friday afternoon. Last week, Ms. Casaro mixed it up a bit and had Riddle Friday.
Riddle Friday was a fun way to get all the students in the school involved in trying to solve a riddle so their classroom could be entered for a chance to win a popcorn party.
It was a lot of fun for the entire school. 4 classrooms were able to win a popcorn party that day, 2 from the primary grades and 2 from the intermediate grades.
The 4 classrooms that received a party from Mrs. Casaro were Mrs. Ortman's 6th grade, Mrs. Keener's 6th grade, Mrs. Lovett, 3rd grade, and Mrs. Watkins, kindergarten.
Congratulations to the winning classrooms last week. We all look forward to another Riddle Friday coming up soon.
This week we have another report on location in a classroom. Jared will be reporting from Mrs. Poe's classroom where he and I both attend class. This week we have a special treat for everyone, and Jared will be talking with Mrs. Poe about it. Let's watch that report.
Hi there, this is Jared Jobe from Maplewood Student Reports, and I'm here with Mrs. Poe, and everybody in Mrs. Poe's class has been working on something that is very cool. Can you tell us what it's about, Ms. Poe?
Sure. We've been, as you know, working on a Reader's Theater play that is actually called One Giant Leap. It's about the first moon landing, and we are practicing Reader's Theater because we want to get fluent in our reading and we want to be expressive with our reading. And so Reader's Theater is a great way to practice that. Students get to understand characters, they get to understand what was going on in our world at the time, and we just felt like it was an important one to do, and everyone was so excited about it that we decided to tape it. I think we have the clip.
Okay.
12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff.
On July 20th, 1969, humans walked on the surface of the moon for the very first time. Black and white images of the moon's surface flashed on television screens everywhere. The whole world was watching. Let's journey back to that time for a first-hand account of that historic event.
This is Jane and June Wilson reporting live from the Mission Control Center in Houston. As you know, 4 days ago, on July 16th, the Apollo mission lifted off from Cape Canaveral, Florida. The 3 astronauts on board have traveled 240,000 miles or 400,000 kilometers to the moon.
In just minutes, they will attempt the first moon landing. Their spacecraft has separated into 2 parts, the Command Module Columbia and the Lunar Module Eagle. Columbia is piloted by Mike Collins. It will orbit the moon while Eagle piloted by Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, makes the historic landing. Let's go to Polly Brooks in the studio for a historical perspective.
Thanks, Jane and June. I'm here with Dr. Vargas. She is an expert on the history of the United States space program. Dr. Vargas, why is this mission so important?
For years, Polly, the United States competed with Russia to have the best space program. It all started on October 5th, 1957, when the Russians launched Sputnik, the first satellite. Then on April 12th, 1961, Yuri Gagarin, a Soviet cosmonaut, became the first person in space.
Americans were taken by surprise.
Absolutely. They felt defeated.
What turned things around for the U.S.?
In 1961, President Kennedy challenged us to put a person on the moon by 1970. And today the world is witnessing our effort to fulfill that challenge.
Thank you, Dr. Vargas. Now let's go back to Mission Control and Jane and June Wilson. Jane and June, are you there?
We are, Polly. The command center at Houston is a huge room filled with workstations. At many of these stations, mission control experts monitor important data coming from the Apollo 11 spacecraft. You can feel the tension in this room.
Right now, I am standing with some very special visitors. With me is astronaut Mike Collins' wife Emma and their 3 children, Todd, Amanda, and Annie. We are joined by 2 mission control experts. Can you tell us what is happening now?
We're standing in our communications area. This is where we monitor the instruments on Columbia and Eagle.
Wow, I've never seen so many computers in one place.
If you think these are impressive, you should see the Columbia Command Module. That's where your dad is now. Behind the command module is the service module. That's the part of the ship that holds fuel, oxygen, and navigational equipment.
We're really proud of our dad.
Would you like to speak to him now? We have Columbia on our radio. Here, say hello.
Hi, kids.
Todd, the most powerful telescope in the world, couldn't see something as small as the Columbia. It's too far away.
Your mom's right. Think of how far away your father is. His rocket goes 24,000 miles per hour. And it still took him 2 days to get to the moon.
My dad went 24,000 miles per hour?
That's right. And do you know why? There's no air and very little gravity in space, so you can travel very fast. Newton's first law of motion states that once you are moving, you won't stop or change direction unless a force acts on you. In a car, friction with the ground constantly slows you down. In an airplane, air resistance works against forward motion, but in space, there's nothing to stop you.
But because there's air and gravity on Earth, it took tons of fuel to lift off, right?
Right. Remember, the rocket to launch this mission had 3 stages. The first stage had 7.5 million pounds of thrust. That's a lot of power. The rocket pushed off the ground on a jet of superheated gas. The second stage needed less than half the power because the rocket was lighter than after all that fuel burned off. The third stage was the smallest, even though it carried the astronauts the farthest.
But if there's no air to push against in space, how does the rocket move forward?
Good question. That's Newton's second law of motion. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. When the exhaust gases leave the rocket, they push back and the rocket moves forward. On liftoff, the force of the exhaust gases moving down propels the rocket in the opposite direction, up with the same force.
Dad, are you still there? What did it feel like during liftoff? We were 3 miles away and we felt the ground shake.
It squashed us in our seats until we could barely breathe. It added G's, or gravitational forces. Right now, kids, you felt 1 G. On liftoff, we felt 3 Gs. It's like being on the bottom curve of a roller coaster.
Cool.
You need all that thrust to lift off because the rocket is so heavy. But it weighs almost nothing in space, right?
If your dad wanted to, he could push the ship with his hands.
That's pretty amazing, isn't it, kids? Mom, didn't you say Buzz and Mel won't wait much on the moon?
Yes, I did, Annie.
Your mom's right. Another one of Newton's laws says that gravity attracts all masses to one another, and the greater the mass, the greater the gravity. The moon's mass is about 1/80th the mass of Earth. Its gravity is about 1/6 the gravity of Earth. On Earth, the 2 astronauts who will walk on the moon each weigh 360 pounds with their spacesuits on. On the moon, they will only weigh 60.
I'm sorry, but I have to interrupt you now. We have the lunar module on the line. Neil, what's your status?
We're approaching the landing site. It looks pretty rocky. I'll keep moving to see if I can find a smoother spot.
This is Damon June Wilson reporting. For those of you who just joined us, we are here live at the Mission Control Center in Houston. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin are about to touch down on the moon in the lunar module. In just moments, if all goes well, they will step into the vacuum of space, relying on their spacesuits to protect them from the harsh conditions.
In case you were wondering, the moon can be a scorching 243 degrees Fahrenheit during the lunar day and a frigid 279 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit during the lunar night.
Eagle, this is Mission Control. You have to sit down soon. You're low on fuel.
Roger, Mission Control. We've found a landing spot.
What happens if they crash?
The Eagle is moving very slowly. A crash would probably only break the legs. The section with the legs remains on the moon after liftoff.
There's absolute quiet here at the Mission Control Center as everyone waits.
Mission Control, this is Tranquility, based here. The Eagle has landed.
There you have it. The Eagle has landed. Those are the words of Neil Armstrong, the first words spoken from the moon. The lunar module has just landed on the Sea of Tranquility, one of the dark areas on the moon that is visible from Earth. The astronauts will now prepare their life support units for the first moonwalk.
Amanda, the life support units have oxygen tanks, water, and all the radio equipment in big backpacks.
I know, and Dad told me that the spacesuits cost more than $1 million each.
The sun filters on the helmets are made of gold foil. On Earth, the atmosphere blocks most of the sun rays. But on the moon, the sun would burn their skin in a few seconds. The spacesuits also keep the astronauts at the right temperature.
You've been teaching them everything, haven't you, Miss Collins?
Well, this is one of the greatest scientific achievements of the century. I want them to remember everything.
I'm ready to open the hatch now. I'm taking out the camera and turning it on.
What you now see on your television screens is live footage from the moon.
Neil will have to jump at least 3 feet to the ground. We had to make the ladder short to save on weight.
I can't believe this is actually happening.
I'm stepping onto the ladder now, down to the bottom step.
The images of Neil Armstrong climbing out of the lunar module are among the most famous in the world. His spacesuit was bulky and his movements were awkward in a low-gravity environment. He stepped cautiously down the ladder, hopped off the end, and landed on the surface of the moon. He said,
"That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind."
A few minutes later, Buzz Aldrin joined him.
The astronauts will perform several experiments on the moon. One involves running at full speed and then trying to stop in a low-gravity environment. In the vacuum of space, the astronauts must be careful not to tear their spacesuits. The suits recreate the air pressure on Earth, and a loss of pressure could result in injury or death.
This moon dust is strange stuff. In the distance it looks white, almost blue, and in other places it seems kind of yellow. Beneath our feet it's almost gray, but when I pick it up it looks brown or black.
The horizon seems much closer here than it does on Earth. But wait, what's that I see coming up just over the hill?
What are you saying, Eagle?
It's Earth rising, like a pale sunrise in the morning. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. For the first time in history, people look at Earth from the moon. The astronauts will place a plaque near the spot where the Eagle landed. The plaque reads, "Here men from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon, July 1969 AD. We came in peace for all mankind."
Since that day, scientists have continued to explore outer space. The International Space Station makes it possible for humans to live in orbit for months. The Hubble telescope takes glorious photographs of starlight years away. Probes have photographed the surfaces of almost every planet in the solar system. But no human has ever traveled farther than Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Mike Collins did. Even if we travel beyond the moon, we will always know We are not bound to Earth. We are truly ambitious explorers of the universe. The end.
Thank you for that. I really thought that Mike Collins was the best, and that part when he was when he said hi kids, that was awesome. So, thanks.
I think everybody did a great job, and my favorite part was all of it. Thanks, Jared.
Thank you. All right, this is Maplewood Student Reports. Hannah?
Thank you, Jared, for that report. We had a great time preparing that reading and then performing it.
You're welcome. We really appreciate all the teachers that invite us into their classrooms to share all kinds of activities they are doing in their daily lessons. Check back again next week for another report from one of the classrooms.
Now let's go to our London correspondent, Nick, live via satellite. Nick will have a report on what's happening with schools over in Britain. Nick?
Live via satellite. Late breaking news from our sister country in London, England. Our overseas correspondent, Nick Vale, for Maplewood Student Reports. Nick?
Shh.
Okay. Go ahead, stop. Okay. Good afternoon. This is Nick reporting from London, England, where we will share a few items about what is happening in our school, in our country. A recent report from our government has stated that all primary pupils in our school will receive free lunches, which I think that's great. Free lunch for all pupils will have a huge savings for mums and dads, but will be a bit of a burden on the government's budget. So I don't think that's gonna happen. Free lunches for pupils would mean that they'd all eat healthier, so they won't be gaining weight, and so London, so be skinny. Okay, what a great idea! Free lunches for everyone. Of course, this is new, and we will continue to monitor what's happening with this measure. A bit of funny story this week. Our beloved Prime Minister David Cameron was snapped taking a snooze, catching 40 winks in his sister-in-law's selfie. which that's hilarious. In a bit of coincidence, a baby panda bear was caught posing like the Prime Minister, catching a few winks himself in Mr. Cameron style, which, again, hilarious. The young panda bear who won't be named until he's 100 days old, and according to the Chinese tradition, was left alone by his mother when she went out to get some food and drink at the zoo. This is a bit unusual, graced with a snapshot of what the life is for the little guy. Okay. This is Nick reporting from jolly old London. Cheese! Dun, dun.
Live via satellite. Late breaking news from our sister country in London, England. Our overseas correspondent Nick Vale for Maplewood Student Report.
Thank you, Nick, for that report. Our student correspondents from Britain and other areas keep us updated on what's going on overseas.
Each month, the PTO places a winning pencil in the pencil machine at our school. The pencil is clearly marked with winner on it. When a student purchases a pencil from the pencil machine, they have a chance of getting the winning pencil.
If a student gets the winning pencil from the machine, they take that pencil to the office to get a prize that the PTO offers each month. Be sure to try for that prize by purchasing a pencil from the pencil machine. Each month, a different prize is offered.
The PTO is gearing up to have popcorn sales again this year. October 4th is the first day of popcorn sales. You must bring in your money on that day, Friday, October 4th, so you can order popcorn that day. Popcorn costs 50 cents per bag.
Picture Day is coming! Student pictures will be taken on Tuesday, October 8th. Be sure to dress up and look nice for your pictures.
The PTO is launching a fundraising campaign starting October 1st. They will be selling candles to raise money for the Maplewood PTO. There will be an assembly in the gym that day to kick off the start of the sales event.
That will be all for Maplewood Student Reports this week. Come back next week for more reports about students and classrooms by students. Until next time, see y'all soon.